Scruggins, who is from Susquehanna County in Pennsylvania.
I'm from Susquehanna County in Pennsylvania, which is the county that is east of the two Carrolls. And I've lived there for 21 years as of this month. I moved there from Long Island, New York, from Nassau County, with my 3 children, 5 cats, and a whole big truck full of things. We found an old farmhouse and several barns on 8 acres, and we decided to have like a small farm and move away from suburbia. It was a lifelong dream, and it's something that I wanted to do since I was a little girl, because when I was a little girl, I was exposed to a ranch of my great uncle in Montana, in southeast Montana, called Edgar. So from that point on, I said I wanted to live on a farm. But my family moved east, unfortunately, because my mother wanted to live near her mother in New Jersey. So, of all things, I ended up in an urban city, Elizabeth, New Jersey, right next to Newark and next to Linden. So we moved around in Elizabeth, and we also lived about a mile at some point from the oil refineries. So as a child, I was exposed to the toxicity of a refinery. And what the air was like was something that was very difficult to enjoy. You don't have clean air. You have air that changes color periodically. It even turned green at some point. And we were told to go indoors at different times. And I remember thinking when I watched The Wizard of Oz that there was some similarity because everything turned green. So I had to breathe this. So I knew that at some point, and when I was a child, they didn't do much about asthma and lung disease and doctors. My family couldn't afford to go to doctors. My father was a laborer, a machinist. He worked in factories. So we just did what we could at home. So I didn't want this for my family. I didn't want this for my children. I didn't want this for my pets or any of my animals. So we wanted to come to the clean air of Susquehanna County. I searched for 15 years till I settled on that county. My husband was a teacher. He retired, and we left Nassau County. So we found some place that we called heaven at that point. This was the best that I had since I was a child. And I said, this is great, I want this type of an environment. The water looked clean, it seemed clean. The air smelled wonderful. Everything looked green and beautiful. Just like your state, as I drove up, looks very beautiful. I drove up I-88. And I looked all around and I said, wow, what a beautiful country. I would hate to see it become what our county is becoming. Because 17 years I lived in this county until finally the gas company came in. So they invaded in 2008. They came in the southwestern corner of our county. And I had friends that lived in that corner. So when I spoke to one of them, she said, you have to come and see something, that they're actually drilling. I said, wow, that I knew was not a good thing. That's not going to be a good thing for us. Let me come and see. So they showed me the different spots, the land, some of the landowners, and look what they're doing. They're actually drilling finally. They were leasing for many decades, saying that they were not going to drill, so nobody paid attention to it. They would lease for small amounts, but now it finally happened. And I was in shock. So I I like to photograph, I like to videotape, I like to journal, so I started to keep a record. I said, let me keep a record and let me start to look around. So I looked around and I knew some of the area. I would walk on some of the landowner sites and I would look at what's happening in that early days. And then I would start to see the pits. We had frack pits at that point. Large frack pits filled with grimy, black, oily, gooey liquid. And then it would be lined with plastic. And then it would be over the edge of the plastic. There would be some kind of inadequate fencing, like a plastic orange thing that they would put around it. And then you would see some of the gooey stuff on the ground. I'd be walking around it. So I took videos, took pictures, and then I would call the DEP. That's our regulatory agency for the state, which is similar to your DEC. So when I went and looked at it, they came and they said, yeah, you're right, this is really pretty messy. They put all kinds of violations on it. This was Cabot in this part of the county. And they were shut down for 3 weeks. No fracking, no drilling for 3 weeks. So then they had to clean up their act, and then they were allowed to drill again. Now, one of the things about this industry and about our county, we are a rural county, 45,000 people. Basically no zoning. That means they can go anywhere. They can put a site anywhere. If they have at least 3 to 5 acres, there goes a site. Anywhere from 100 to 300 feet from an occupied building. And from what I understand in New York, your situs says something about 100 feet. What is 100 feet when you're dealing with hundreds, thousands of acres? There's so many farms that have 200 acres, 500, 1,700 acres. This is near homes. And a lot of the landowners don't even have it near their home. They know enough about that not to have it near their home. But they have it near their neighbor's home. So we have wells that are about 300 feet from homes, either side, across the road, and they have to deal with that. And it takes months and months to complete a site. They might tell you, oh, this is going to be over with in about a month. Don't worry about it, it's going to be quick. We're in and we're out. Well, it's not the case, because by the time they start excavating, and by the time they finish, and they usually have problems along the way, it goes over a year. Right now we have sites that are over a year, and they're just about finished. So you have to deal with the traffic, the noise, the smells, the lights, the sounds, and this thing that's next door to you or in your neighborhood that looks like a little refinery. So if you're familiar with refineries, you have a site that has brine tanks on it. So let's say there's 4 wells. The average right now in our area that they like to put together is 4 wells, 4 to 5, let's say. So you have a brine tank for each one. It's a large tank. I don't know how tall it is. I should have a picture of it, I guess, but it's maybe 30 feet high, 30 feet wide, and you have one for each. And then you have the wellheads. Then you have the production units. These are square boxes where they have dehydrators, and they dehydrate some of the gas. So you have that, and then you have some barrels with glycol in it, so that things don't freeze in the winter. Now they're finding glycol, ethylene glycols, different glycols in some people's water. I wonder why. So they're near wells. We now have 500 wells approximately in our county. Bradford County, I believe, has more than we do, maybe 1,000 from what I've read. In one township, with its 30 square miles, they told them originally, you're only going to have 1 well. Nothing to be concerned about. They now have 150. And they're not even finished. They're just like maybe halfway through. We have water contamination, and this is something that's been going on right from the beginning. You've heard of Dimmock. They became famous. It started in Dimmock, and now it's gone throughout our county. It went from the southwest, which is Dimmock. We've had cases, families with complaining about water changing. They can't drink their water, they're feeling sick. They're having reactions. Then it goes to the southeast corner. We have Lenox, over a dozen families there. Now it's going north. We have cases in the Franklin Forks area under investigation right now. And then it's on the west side. And it's getting very close to your border. We have wells now within a mile from the New York border, which is the Broome County area, the southern tier. And right now we're also hearing cases, as of yesterday, all kinds of people calling in that their water is turning black near the border. And also now over the border. You'll probably be hearing that shortly in the news. So this is a problem, a big problem. How can we lose our water? It's our most precious asset, besides our air. And after they deal with the water and they screw that up with the bad casings like the Carols have spoken about, this happens more often than they would like to admit. They like to say, oh, it's only 6% of the cases. Well, I have 20 pages here of one company, small company. We have 6 companies, gas companies in our county. 20 pages of violations, and there's a number of defective casings in there, spills of all kinds. And how do you fix a casing once it goes bad? Once the cement is not properly somehow finished, there's holes in it, there's migration, and it's not just methane that migrates. There can be all kinds of things that migrate. And with all the pressures that they put the hydro-fracking fluids down these holes, all these high pressures, what is moving around? So we're getting high metals in a number of people's waters and all kinds of radioactivity also. Now this is something I don't want to see here. I am very happy that New York is willing to fight to stand up to this. We are Americans, remember, first and foremost, and we need to stand up for our rights, our land. We don't have to take whatever the corporations give us. Just because they claim they have so much money, that does not give them unlimited power. We are the people. We can stand up to this, and you are doing it. You are our example. You are one state out of 32 states that has stood up to the companies, that has resisted for 4 years. This is an absolute miracle. I'm very proud of you. Continue to resist. Do not let them in. Once they come in, how will you get rid of them? It's very difficult. So keep resisting, because we need a place to run. I will be a gas refugee shortly. I have 3,000 feet from my home. They're drilling right now. My children can't take it anymore. They want to put the house on the market. I want to stay and fight because I love my county. I love this state. And I also love New York. I don't mind going back to New York. But it's something that once you see what happens, you can't keep silent. You must say something. Very few are willing to say something. There is a lot of fear. Our elected officials are not doing much of anything. They're kowtowing to the corporations, and our state is run by a governor who's completely sold to the gas companies. And the head of our DEP is completely sold to the gas companies. So we have learned the hard way that we can't expect protection. And one of the ways we call the DEP is Department, not of Environmental Protection, but don't expect protection. Don't expect it, because now we find that our government has failed us. We've written and we've appealed to the president numerous times, all our elected officials, and nothing has been done. I thought they would come to their senses by now. It is 4 years. We have 24 counties that have been assaulted. And like Carol says, it's like abuse. They've been abused, and no one's coming to their aid. I don't want to see that happen here or anywhere else. The whole world is under the spell and the control of the corporations. We need to take back our power.
Yeah.
So now we have new families with bad water and water buffaloes. You saw the pictures, what a water buffalo is like. They're getting their water delivered by the gas companies every single day. And they have emission stacks on top of their water wells to remove the excess explosive levels of methane. And these are stacks about 20 feet tall, and it goes on top of your water well. The cap is removed. You're disconnected from your water well. And you have this water buffalo filled with water that's not from a water well that we're used to. Like the water we're getting is processed, treated water from the lake community, Montrose Lake. They have a treatment plant, highly chlorinated and fluoridated. When I opened the cap of the water buffalo, you could smell it like a swimming pool. This is not something I would want someone to drink or even bathe in. I've actually tried it and I've reacted to it. It's not a pleasant experience. This is what people have to deal with, and meanwhile the gas companies insist that this is safe, insist that there are no cases that have been proven, insist there's nothing for us to worry about because they have covered all the bases. Meanwhile, one problem after another, and it's throughout our county. They can insist all they want, but come and see for yourselves. I give tours for 3 years now to legislators, people from all over the world, other states, particularly New York, farmers, citizens, media, and I show them what we're going through, what's happening right next to people's homes and right next to schools. Do you know all our schools are leased? They actually have wells on our school properties. And they think this is okay, that this should be acceptable, that we should just accept this so that you can have extra money, they tell us. They feel we are so desperate that we will sacrifice our children and generations to come. Are we that desperate? No. Are we that needy? No. Do we need money so badly that we will sacrifice ourselves and generations to come? No. When was the last time a super fund was cleaned up?
Never.
When was it really cleaned up? Our county will be a Superfund area because they want one every mile, and in some sections it's every quarter of a mile, a gas well site. And with the gas wells come all the compressor stations, and with the compressor stations, all the toxic air and emissions, which are tons per year. Tons of volatile organics, tons of B-Texas, benzene, toluene, xylene, tons of formaldehydes, hydrogen, all kinds of things. It just goes on and on. This is allowed for us to breathe. And it's every 2 to 4 miles a compressor station. No matter what they tell you, this is what happens. We have 26 permits right now pending in our county. On a 21-mile stretch of a gathering line in our county, the northern part of it, 4 compressor stations being permitted and being built. Originally they told us none when the company first came in. None will be there. Of course, we have 4 now. So can you believe them?
Absolutely not.
They cannot be believed. They will do whatever they can to make a buck. And it's going to be off of our backs and it's at our expense. And it's a big expense, big risk. It's such a high price. It's not worth it. Then with the pipelines that will go throughout the county, it's like a big web, like a spider's web. One pipeline after another, up to 30 inches. And right now, they're permitting, or they're wanting to permit, a 30-inch Constitution line, which is coming from the southern part of our county, and is going up to your county. This is Schoharie County?
Yep.
If I pronounce it right, sorry. But it's coming up here to Albany. 121 miles total. They want to go through this whole state, maybe I-88, maybe other areas, little towns. We need to stop them. Do not allow a pipeline, this pipeline, to come into your state. Show them that you can do it. We have an organization that stopped the Constitution pipeline. People are getting together. Let the landowners know. You don't have to say yes. Say no, just like the drugs say no. Thank you for listening, and we can have questions. I'm sorry to bring such bad news of what we're going through, but I'm hoping that you will be spared. Thank you.